I had a question I lost. Okay. I have the question again. I found it. I reached back in my brain and pulled the question back out. We talked about this before we started recording, but game tutorials are a real difficult thing to tackle for a lot of people. A really famous example that happened semi recently was when a game reviewer was playing Cuphead and couldn't figure out how to get past the tutorial of the game. Um, and me personally, I am very opinionated on how tutorials are presented to me, because I've been playing games for a long time. I know how to play video games. Sure, there are new mechanics and new features and things that need to be explained to me when I'm playing these games, but after a certain point, I know how to jump, I know how to shoot, I know how to run around, I know how a map works. How do you guys tackle making a tutorial for a player? Do you go for the super broken down part of it, or you want to go more of the abstract, you can figure it out kind of thing?
Ooh.
Anyone can start.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
I want to hear from the education side. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the studio, it's kind of like we are divided in that part because some guys at the studio said no. People like Mark was saying, they already know how to move, how to do stuff in the game, so we don't have to like over explain things. But on the other hand, I always tell them that it depends on your player base because if you are like approaching a more casual gamer, I think that you should do a little bit more explanation on how mechanics work. And but if you are like making like developing a Dark Souls kind of game, you don't really need to make it like explaining every single detail of the mechanics. So I think that it would be more like depending on your audience, what audience you are aiming for. That's what we do. And like with the last friend, we are thinking about a casual mid-core kind of gamer, so we are trying to have some tutorials but not so many things but in my point of view as a teacher, I think that you always have to like walk through people, maybe limiting a little bit the how much time you will do it, but I think it depends on the audience.
I think it also. I think I agree. I also think it depends on the games you're trying to make too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're, you know, you don't have to have too much of a tutorial for Pong, but if trying to sit down and play Civilization and you don't even know what you're doing, you want to have something, something, you press this to open up this menu and do this kind of thing, and you want to have a little bit more of a hand-holding experience for a very complicated game.
I think like the dream for most developers is to make a game so intuitive that you will never need to teach it. But then you also come with like some limitations and what the player can do, right? I mean, like the prime example you take a look at, like it's like basically Apple versus Microsoft, right? Like Apple's like it's so intuitive, anyone can use it, but if you know how to use any technology, you can't do anything with it. You know what I mean? like when it becomes exactly, when it becomes so so intuitive, you have no control over it anymore. So like technically the most intuitive game is a game that plays itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's also it is about complexity, right? Like if your game is like your audience is meant for a younger audience or for a new kind of if your target group is like we want to get new players that haven't played games before, then you might need to heavily handhold. I think there's always a nice balance in there because ideally you could be structuring your gameplay over the course of a game, and therefore like teaching new mechanics and that kind of stuff. There's established, but I mean like when you have a keyboard and it has so many keys, like which key is for what, and like there's no standardization for anything. Like is it E to use or F to use? Is it Q for grenade or is it right middle mouse button? Like I just tried Ghost Runner, which I heard a lot of good reviews about. But I call myself an avid kind of controller player as well. I played Dark Souls like crazy. I couldn't get past the first level of Ghost Runner because like jump is on R1 and dodge is on L1, and like holding like, and it's just like it completely changed up the control scheme, and I had to kind of relearn how to play with a controller again for that specific game.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like when tutorialization comes in, right? Like, it's like, is game standardized now? It's never standardized. Every dev has an opinion about what control scheme is the best scheme. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and a thing about something intuitive is really difficult because really depends on the person. Because when my little girl was like 4, I gave her an old mobile phone for her to play with it, and she was touching the screen. And she came back to me and said, "Dad, this thing is not working." And I said, "No, you use the buttons to play the game," because she was trying to touch the screen to play the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be intuitive for her that is touch screen, but if it's a keyboard like you were saying with a keyboard on the PC, which one is for like throwing grenades or changing your inventory? It's like us. It's like in the tower defense phase. There are a lot of things we gotta teach on how to put the turrets, how to defend your position, and what to do. So we really need to explain those things so people really understand and can really get the most out of the game.
And it really also comes down to, like, again, when we go to complexity, it's not just complexity in controls, but just what you do. I mean, like Mario and the developer Nintendo is like the greatest when it comes to developing kind of like learn by, because something like the best tutorials are the ones you don't notice as tutorials.
Yeah.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like you learn and you learn a new mechanic, but that's because the core mechanic is so simple: move and jump,
Yeah.
right? And then like, but it's just the multitudes of ways that we can make you move and jump,
Yeah,
right?
and there's something else. I would say that also a age is like for
Mm.
older gamers like ourselves, it's like we learn by dying and dying and dying, and you can die like 100 times and you don't get frustrated. But nowadays, most of the gamers, they don't want to get frustrated so easily, so they really want to know what to do firsthand. I mean, they don't want to die. It's like I used to play Ninja Gaiden. Have you ever played Ninja Gaiden?
Oh,
Yes,
Ninja
yes.
Gaiden's a
Yes,
rough
yeah,
one.
okay, that was an awesome game, but you have to die a lot. So to really learn a lot of stuff. So for this type of gamers that have like a lot of experience, is like the level of frustration is like really high. But for new gamers, I see it with the new gamers, with people that are really young, between 15 to 25, I would say. They want like to have everything there, and they know what to do. And that's my perspective, and that's what play testing has been telling us.
Yeah. But you
For
get games like Cyberpunk. Sorry, Nathan, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, like for Siren Head, we actually did the whole tutorial while setting up the narrative. So like when you start the game, you get out and you kind of like follow the story of like what happened to the park rangers, and while you're following that and you're reading notes or whatever, you're getting a tutorial of like, okay, press F to use flashlight, use E here to pick up
Mm.
this object, E here to put it on this thing, right? It was like it worked out really well because it set up the mood and everything while you were learning how to play. So it was kind of seamless.
Exactly.
It worked out really
I,
well for us.
exactly. I mean, then you get a game like Cyberpunk where if you're still teaching tutorials 4 hours into gameplay, you know, then maybe you got too complex of a world. I mean, too complex of
Yeah.
mechanics. I love Cyberpunk. I wish I could still play it. I'm waiting for a 30x series right now card to run it. But like, but yeah, like, it's all about complexity. It's all about, when a game becomes too complicated to explain in the first 30 minutes, then it's like it's going to be a very, very kind of tough and hardcore tutorial you're going to need.
I think that Team Cherry for Hollow Knight does it really well. When the game introduction is like, cool, you're a bug, you have a sword, you attack things, and you can jump, and that's all you get. And then, of course, it being a Metroidvania, you progress to unlock more skills, more abilities, more ways to move around to change that dynamic of attacking and jumping. But the way the game teaches you how to put them together is really nice, and it's not what I expected when I came into playing the game. Because after a certain point, you unlock the wall jump. Wall jump, cool, pretty basic as far as platformers go. But seeing how I can take that wall jump and apply it to boss fights, to attacking more difficult enemies and doing it better, or even as simple as like the game never explicitly teaches you that you need to learn how to attack while jumping, by swinging downwards, because if you do that, you'll bounce off of enemies, which is really nice. But then once you figure that out, you learn that there's a whole new area that opens up for you where you have to do that to juggle yourself on top of an enemy to get across a pool of acid. And for me, I was like, well, damn, I knew it was an option, but I didn't think about it. But now I see how useful this is, and you can apply that to more other things in the game without a single dialogue box or anything like that. It's just, hey, you can do this. You should learn how to do this, which is nice. That's the kind of tutorials I want to see when I play games. I don't want my hand being held of having like 8 different NPCs tell me how to accomplish every single basic feature of the game. I just want to play the game and learn for myself. But I also don't want to have the Dark Souls aspect where it's like, all right, cool, we're gonna throw you into a world, everything kills you, that's all you get.
Yeah, exactly. Have fun.
Yes, have fun is the most important part. Damn, I had a good question lined up too, and I'm really bad at keeping my questions in line. You guys have noticed by now. Did your original concept for your games change, or has it been that same narrative flow from start to finish? Let's have Nathan go first, because I feel like the answer is probably going to be a yes.
Yes, and actually yes for every game that I've made. I don't think we've ever made any major changes. Just always been like, okay, here's the idea, let's go. I don't know.
Okay, Alessandro?
Well, yeah, maybe like big changes. No, because we, like I was telling you, we love like mixing genres, and we always have like that idea. So our main idea is to have those genres, mix them up. Obviously, there are things that playtesting tell us this is not working, this is not fun. This is the fundamental thing is whether this is fun or not. So if it's not fun, we completely discard it and we think about something else. But the core idea is never like big changes. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark?
Vastly. It changed.
Yeah.
It changes a lot for me. I never can make up my mind, but essentially it's also about like where things go. Like I do a lot of world building, and I kind of start from like a core premise and I build out, and I don't design a story or make a game or a film or whatnot. I just kind of build a world.
Mhm.
And so when I did that, like I basically had this like, okay, there's going to be a cyber Nordic noir, so we're gonna need a detective, like kind of hardcore detective whiskey drinking, that every other game came out. And I developed an entire narrative around that. And then I had a consultant in, which is Michael Valur, which is a pretty prominent kind of novel writer, kind of punk writer in Denmark. And it's like Denmark, this is because like detectives are really boring now. Like no one wants a detective anymore. Like, is there like you're making it like a cyberpunky game or a future Copenhagen? Like is there like a Blade Runner in your game or in your narrative? It's like like in our world, essentially it's like it's Copenhagen 2079. People have managed to kind of transcend their existence into digital holograms. But as everyone knows here, code corrupts and they become digital demons and possess technology and that kind of stuff. So we have this character investigating about like all these ghosts and demons and whatnot. It's like, oh, he's basically an exorcist. So then it completely changed, and then the whole world shifted to like this whole like he's a transcender because that sounds cool, and he's a digital exorcist because everyone understands what that is. And so it shifts to become it was very grounded before, and it kind of fluctuating between very fantastical yet still trying to keep that Blade Runner noir thing, but trying to put a twist on it, put a nice spin on it, because we're kind of used to the detective aspects, or the kind of hardy, weary detective. And it was nice to add a little bit of a twist on like the priest or the exorcist kind of stuff. But yeah. So it has changed a lot, and it does that for a lot of things for me.
Yeah, I'm sure it still is too, because your game is still in a prototyping phase, right?
Oh yeah, but even so, with other ideas or whatnot, I mean, like the spaced out game started off with like, what if What if a rich a billionaire lost his keys in his mansion? And then I was like, okay, that's kind of politically weird and whatnot. So let's kind of change it up. Like who is the worst person to lose their keys? An astronaut during a space emergency. Imagine if losing your keys to your escape pod. That would fucking suck.
It
And
sounds
then
like a Whose Lines Anyway skit.
it kind of is like that sometimes. But yeah, it is that it does change a lot, and just you design and you make a new mechanic that changes narrative. Um, and it's just tough. Eventually, you need to settle down. That tends to be when you get funding.
So my last question for you guys is, do you guys have any forgotten projects that you wish you can go back to or are still waiting to go back to someday?
Ooh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
don't we
do
all?
tell.
at least 3.
Yeah.
I
You
have
always have
a
something in the fridge.
Exactly. And the thing is, those things will it's not a matter of oh, they can never be done. It's just it's just not the time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as in, I don't know. Most of us had the whole Pokemon era. I love Pokemon. I lived in Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand, that kind of stuff. So I was caught up with Digimon and Pokemon. Nice. Actually, I think I have a rare card on my passport somewhere. It's where I keep it. Look at this thing.
There we go. Porygon.
Porygon's my favorite.
I got a bunch
Look
of Pokemon cards from trying to get the Pikachu from McDonald's Happy
Yeah,
Meals.
look at these
one.
two. Hey,
Nice.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so I always wanted to kind of bring back the Tamagotchi and the Pokemon stuff and the collectibles, but kind of put it in a trading card game and making it an augmented reality experience. So putting down cards and your pets come out. So think of Yu-Gi-Oh meets Pokemon, right?
I love augmented reality, and I wish it would be a bigger part of today's technical landscape.
Yeah, exactly. It needs a few more leaps.
Yeah.
But we'll see about the leap motion when it comes out.
Yeah, that's fair. I forgot
The
this thing.
leap motion? You mean the magic leap?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the leap motion already came out. That's the hands one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used the leap motion quite a bit for an earlier project. Well,
Yeah, I backed them and then I never used it.
oh really?
Oh no.
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna use it to puppeteer my animations in Maya, but
that's cool.
I kind of went hands on with that instead. More hands on.
I was using it for VR hands.
Ah, nice.
And Nathan, do I share about any of your projects that you're working on, or that you have locked away in this freezer for later?
Well, the thing is that freezer can always be opened again. I think I'm gonna keep those close to my chest and heart for right now.
Okay.
But yeah, there's
fair.
definitely some unfinished projects that I had to abandon for whatever reason that might see the light of day again.
Alessandro.
Yeah, I got a couple of projects. I love the war, Vietnam Wars. In El Salvador, we had a civil war. There was the guerrillas against the government, and the government was supported by U.S. and the guerrillas by Russia. So I have that thing I written down the whole story about it. So I have a lot of stuff in the fridge. Yeah, but
I must be the one person who clears his fridge out, because once I tackle a project and I don't like it anymore, I just throw it all away. I'd never give it a second look.
I said there's always you can always look back at it and kind of inspire you for something else,
Yeah, and
So,
I think it has to do a lot with timing. I mean, it's like us now. We're working with the last friend, so we say, okay, let's put everything in the fridge, and literally we did. Because we have those learning games. I also have a lot of learning games that are in the fridge right now. And we put everything in the fridge and we say, okay, let's finish this. Let's do this the best we can. So we put everything there, but they are like Nathan was saying, close to our chests. And I think that those are ideas that you can really let go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're always in the back of your head, and sometimes you're gonna get that where someone says I have this really great mechanic, and you wait, I actually have a narrative or a premise that might fit that really, really well.
Yeah.
And then suddenly these two things that you never thought about mixing just match up and become something really cool. So yeah, I have a Google Drive with a lot of things I just throw in there, but I dare not ever delete it. And I also make sure I have a nice little physical backup of it too. old school script paper and everything.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you guys. I want to thank all three of you for being here. Mark, fantastic as always. Really excited to see what comes out of Neon Knights. Nathan,
Thanks.
Thunderhead's great. Really excited to see what comes next from you. Maybe it's the new Lego game that you did the game jam for.
And I'll see you in Denmark.
And you'll see him in Denmark too. And Alessandro, I'm actually kind of excited to play that one too. It looks like a lot of fun. The animation's very cute and very adorable.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for today, guys. I thank all you guys for coming out, and thanks for watching. Hey, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to our channel.